did was, I think, we completed the doctrine of independent creation with cases. So, can somebody tell me what's the last thing you wrote?
Case law, ma'am. Eastern Book Company versus Naveen J. Desai.
Okay, great. So, today we begin with the doctrines of UK, US, and India with respect to whether creativity is important or required for copyright eligibility. Now, UK follows the doctrine that no creativity is required. So they say that we just want the author of the work to put in hard work and labor and effort and time. If even if it is not creative, we will still grant copyright. So the copyright standard in UK is very low. Now, if we go to US says that even though the person might have put a lot of labor, skill, and effort into the work, there has to be a good degree of creativity in the work. So we will not grant copyright unless the work is creative. Now, what is creative and what is not will depend on case to case. So there is no standard or test for that, but this is what US says. Now, India follows a mixture of these two countries. So, India says that we require labor, skill, effort, and time, that the author should put all these things into the work. Apart from that, there should be a minimum degree of creativity present also. So, they don't require a high degree of creativity like US, but they require a minimal degree. So, they have basically taken a balanced approach on creativity by merging UK and US. Now, there are particular terminologies that are used for all the three countries. So, the doctrine that UK follows that says that no creativity is required and only hard work and labor is required is called the doctrine of sweat of brow. So, the brow here stands for an eyebrow. Now, so this is basically a metaphorical term. So, when like you see in a film or something, or somebody just showing that they're very tired and they have worked very hard and that they're sweating and all, so they wipe the sweat off their forehead with their hand and they whack it on the floor. So, like that act of wiping the sweat from your forehead or your eyebrow and then whacking it, you show that you're very tired and you worked hard. So that is what UK coined. That is why UK coined the term "sweat of brow" doctrine, meaning only labor and hard work is required for copyright. So when you hear the word "sweat of brow," you negate creativity at that point. So only labor and skill are given importance. The doctrine which is followed in US, which requires a high degree of creativity, they follow the doctrine of modicum of creativity. Now I'm going to make you guys write everything with cases, so just listen for now. So modicum of creativity means that a very good degree of creativity has to be there for a work to be eligible for copyright. Now this shows that the standards or the threshold of copyright protection in US is quite high in comparison to UK. Now, India, since it is a merger of both the countries, we call it the merger doctrine. What India does, and the principle that it follows, it's called a flavor of what is it again? 1 minute. It's called the flavor of minimum requirement of creativity. So, because they require a very basic and minimal degree of creativity, unlike US, so it is called flavor of minimum requirement of creativity. Now, there are landmark cases for each country wherein these doctrines were either adopted or discarded. So, sweat of brow currently stands discarded, but when it came, it was quite frequently followed by the UK courts. Now, if you've understood the basic meaning, I'll start with the details. So, did you understand till now that what are the creativity standards for each country? Is there
Yes,
any
ma'am.
doubt?
No, ma'am.
So, now we first start with the UK doctrine, which is called the sweat of brow. I'll write it in the chat box also. It is called the doctrine of sweat of brow. So, you can write down UK and you can put a hyphen and write the doctrine of sweat of brow. And you write under this doctrine relies entirely, this doctrine relies entirely on the skill and labor of the author, this doctrine relies entirely on the skill and labor of the author, making the requirement of creativity redundant. Making the requirement of creativity redundant. I write down this case, Walter versus Lane. Now, can you give me an example of a work which has labor, hard work, skill, effort, time, everything, but there's no creativity? So, can you guys come up with such a situation which can fall under the doctrine of sweat of brow?
Labor.
Sorry? What did you say? Please repeat.
Ma'am, am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you're audible.
Ma'am, labor.
What labor? I'm asking
Ma'am,
about
labor's constructing a building.
No. So labor
But there will be
constructing a building
creativity.
is
Yes,
not
ma'am.
it's not a subject matter of copyright, right? So it has
Yes,
to
ma'am.
be a
Yes, ma'am.
literary work, dramatic work, musical work, something.
Copying somebody's lyrics because he will make his own song through it.
No, if you copy somebody's lyrics, then you are infringing copyright. That is not a separate work.
Okay.
Telephone directory. Like
Yeah, telephone directory is an example of such a work because there is no creativity. If you are not coming up with a new or original idea of compiling the telephone numbers, then it is um, then it will fall under sweat of brow. It should be just that you've compiled all the numbers and you've put it in a book. So that is where you've put labor
Ma'am,
and hard work, but no creativity. Yes.
ma'am, making song covers.
No, song covers are creative works because you are just not copying the music and tuning and everything. You might be using the lyrics, but the vibe of the song changes in a song cover. So it is a separate work and it is eligible for copyright protection. It is not it and it requires creativity. For you to make a song cover, you will obviously put in creativity as to how you differentiate it from the original song and how you change the background music or how you make it more mellowed down, so it requires creativity. More examples?
Making a like rebirth of a movie, same story, same line, everything. Just reshooting it.
Reshooting a movie.
Like
Uh,
they're copying the story and everything. They're
yeah.
just reshooting the movie
So won't
with
that be
different actors.
infringement? Won't that be infringement?
But they will put their hard work in making the film. They're
No,
just
but
copying the
that
story.
will still be infringement because you're copying. So if you take permission of the filmmaker, the previous filmmaker, then it can come within your example. You should take consent so that you don't fall under infringement. See, I'm asking for those examples where you've put in hard work and labor and you're making something originally, but there is no creativity in it.
Remix of a song.
Remix is also an original work. You put creativity into remixing a song.
Ma'am,
collection of
guidebooks.
Sorry?
Collection of poetry works.
Yeah. Yes, that is an example that falls within this.
Ma'am,
If you are
arrangement of data.
yes, so databases will come under this. If the compilation, like the mode of your compilation is not creative, you've just put in the data one after the other, then it is under this doctrine. Okay, then. So, this case, Walter versus Lane, dealt with such an example wherein there was hard work and labor put in the work, but there was no creativity. So, basically, if I am suppose reciting, so I'm delivering this lecture to you. So I deliver lectures to you on IPR 4 days a week. Now, I've given a duty to, for example, Urvashi, that she will write down my lectures word to word and then circulate it in the class. So not what I'm dictating, but uh, she will write down what I'm speaking spontaneously also. That will be covered under sweat of brow. So she's not putting any creativity in the work, because that I'm doing, but she's putting it hard work and labor into writing every word in the class. So like so the ministers and CEOs of companies, they have secretaries to write down whatever work they have to do, or to draft some letter. So they just speak and the secretary writes and then she drafts the letter. That comes under this. So the case of Walter versus Lane dealt with a similar example. So basically, an oral speech was reproduced verbatim in a newspaper report. So, I'm a politician. I gave a speech to a public gathering, and a newspaper reporter, he reproduced my entire speech in his newspaper. Now, will he have copyright on that speech is the question. Now, technically, if we follow the Indian law, so he will not have he will not have copyright, because he has just reproduced my speech in a different form. We can call it an adaptation. It is not his original work. But if we follow the the UK standard, because they don't require creativity to grant copyright, he was given copyright on his newspaper report, even though he just copied my speech, like he just adapted my speech into a written form, because he put in hard work and labor, and creativity is anyway not required, so he was given copyright. This is not fair at all, and this should not be followed. And this was, in fact, the doctrine was discarded later, but in this particular case, it was followed. So, had it been India, it would not have been allowed. It would have been an infringement, because he is adapting my work into a written form. So he's just changing the form, but he's copying it. So in UK, but it was allowed. So sweat of brow allows such cases. So you can write in the case, an oral speech was reproduced. An oral speech was reproduced verbatim. I've written the spelling in the chat box. In a newspaper report, in a newspaper report, the question before the court the question before the court whether the question before the court was whether such a reproduction whether such a reproduction would give rise to copyright protection. Would give rise to copyright protection.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes, tell me.
Not copying actually. I mean, just listening to a stand-up comedian's script and writing it down, not for any the commercial purposes, just random reasons. Does that come under this doctrine of sweat of brow?
See, technically it would, but it is not infringement, because we have exceptions to infringement in copyright, which are there in section 52, which will come at the end of the unit. So, in those exceptions, it says that if you are copying somebody's work or using somebody else's work without their permission for personal use or for research or educational purposes, or just for domestic use, you don't intend to commercialize, then you're not infringing. So even if you copy somebody's work just for personal use, you are not causing any infringement. But technically, it would fall under sweat of brow because like without putting it any your creativity, you're just copying it. So yes, it will come under sweat of brow. But then remember,
Okay.
it's not an infringement. Otherwise, it would have been. The court answered. The court answered in affirmative. Spelling is there in the chat box. Basically, the court answered that the copyright protection will subsist. Affirmative meaning yes. Now write down another case. This is a landmark case of sweat of brow. University of London Press versus University Tutorial Press. Okay, now tell me whether question papers are copyrightable. Question papers for an examination. So I'm working at ICFI. I will be drafting question papers for all exams. So will I be having copyright on those? Think and tell me. Think of everything I've taught till now and tell me.
Ma'am, can you repeat the question once again?
Yeah, so I'm asking that as a professor, I'll be drafting examination question papers for you all in the coming exams. So I'm an employee of ICFI. So will I have copyright over my question papers or not?
Ma'am, ICFI will have copyright.
Okay. Why?
Ma'am, because you are drafting the questions on their behalf.
Not really. It's not like I'm drafting the questions on their behalf. I am delivering lectures.
Ma'am,
from my
even
intellect
though
and my hard
you are
work.
the author, owner will be the ICFI, ma'am.
See, I know where you're coming from when you say this, but when there has to be a contract between the employer and employee to determine where the copyright will vest on such things. So by default, I will be the copyright owner because I'm the author. See, by default, every time the author and owner will be the same persons. It is only when there is a contract of transfer of copyright will the owner and author become different people. So if I have no contract with ICFI with respect to my study material, question papers, or the PPTs I show to you guys, the copyright will vest in me. It's only when I sign a contract of copyright of intellectual property rights that ICFI will own my work. So if there is no contract, when I'm asking by default, you will always remember the author and owner are the same person. It's only when there is a contract to the contrary will that change. So only in case of transfer of copyright. So when I enter into a contract with ICFI that ICFI owns my work, I am entering into a contract for transfer of my intellectual property rights. Otherwise, I would have been the owner. So even if I'm an employee, does not mean that they will own the rights. Did you get it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now answer this question. Are question papers original works of mine?
Yes,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
ma'am,
So
I think
I
it
am
depends upon the ma'am.
sorry.
I think it depends upon the originality of the questions.
So I'll make the example or the question more descriptive. So I have to prepare a question paper on copyright law, and I use 3 to 4 books, and I use some online links, and all the works that I'm using are copyrighted by different people. Now I am compiling every knowledge that I've gained from all these sources, and I've compiled or I've made questions for you guys. Now, those questions are MCQ questions, and I have made them, but I have taken help from multiple sources which are copyright protected. Now, tell me, is my work original?
Yes, ma'am, your work is original.
Okay.
You're not copying from those sources, but you're taking inspiration from them. That's it.
Okay.
No, ma'am, it's not original.
Okay,
Ma'am,
why?
it will be copyrightable.
Who said
Because,
not
ma'am, because
original?
originality means novel, which means it has to be something new, which has
No,
not
no,
existed
no, no,
before.
no, 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 no. Originality is not novelty. That's what I've been trying to explain since so many classes. So novelty means you are creating a new concept and then creating a work on that concept. So when I took the example of the romantic theme and two filmmakers making movies on the romantic theme, so those works are not novel because romance as a theme is very old and it's overused. So there's nothing new about creating a romantic film. It's the originality of expression that separates the two works. So if my story is suppose on two states of two culturally opposite people falling in love, and then there could be another story of two people who cannot end up together because their families are not allowing. So they both are on the idea of romance, but the expressions of stories are different. So the works are original, but they are not novel. Are you getting my point? Originality and novelty are very different. Copyright follows the standard of originality. Copyright does not require novelty at all. Novelty only comes in patent. Did you understand the difference between originality and novelty?
Ma'am, I think so that it will be original because here it will be, it should not be originality of thought, but rather you put your skill, labor, and executed some work by providing some original questions after getting inspired from the different books or reading different books.
Okay, and
For example,
yeah.
you from using telephone directory, how you make your own work. Like in this case, you are searching the information and doing research, and you are trying to make a question.
Yeah.
So in cases, we are just putting whatever is copyrighted in those, we are putting that on your work. So the work will be original because you are using your own intellect and you know
Okay.
art.
So, okay, tell me another thing. So, I am I'm in IPR faculty, and there could be other IPR faculties also. Now, they take up some other section, and I'm taking your sections. Now, since the course work and the syllabus is all the same, so it is not possible for us to create different questions at all because the course is same and the act is same, the law is the same. Now we create similar question papers coincidentally. Is one infringing the work of another?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am, because you don't.
So what do I have to prove? So if one person is claiming that the other faculty has copied my question paper, what all will he have to prove?
Ma'am, since the copyright is, you get the copyright as soon as you create something. Like you don't have to compulsorily register it. So in
Yeah.
order to prove that, you have to show that you have registered your work, and then
Okay, so see, registration is not required to validate my copyright. So both the examiners don't require the work to be registered just to show that we have copyright. So the fact that we've created the work automatically gives us the copyright. My question is that if two examiners have created similar question papers and one is claiming that the other has copied my paper, what all will suppose the plaintiff here will have to prove that I have copied his question paper?
Ma'am,
Ma'am, we
you
have
should
to
prove that
prove that
access,
your work
there
is.
is no access to other.
Sorry, please repeat.
You should prove that you don't have any access to the work which was done by the other.
Very good. Yeah, I was waiting for access. And some Gunjan has written independent creation. So yes, I'm talking about this only. So when I'm able to prove that I've independently created the work and I do not have access to the other's question paper, I will not be charged for infringement. So registration does not play a role here. The only role that plays here is that is played here is by access. So very good. I'm glad that you guys are clear. Now we can write under the case of University of London Press. So write down. Uh, the court held. No, just cut it. Start from the beginning. The test of originality was explained in this case. The test of originality was explained in this case. Which is also called the doctrine of sweat of brow. The court held that copyright does not require that the work should be novel. That the work should be novel. Full stop. It does, however, require that the work shall not be copied, that the work shall not be copied from another. It must originate from the author. It must originate from the author. Now give a para break. It is under the case only, write down. Question papers are original, highlight original. Question papers are original within the meaning of copyright laws as they originate from the author. And after author, write down in the bracket the examiner. Court further held The court further held that merely because similar questions were asked by other examiners, merely because similar questions were asked by other examiners, does not invalidate the copyright. Does not invalidate the copyright. Now, if you guys want to add more cases to sweat of brow doctrine, you are free to refer to books and add more cases. If you have access to books, and if you don't and you want to add more cases, you tell me. I'll make you guys write or like send you PDFs as in I'll have to create the PDF and send it. There is no created PDF because you have to refer to books. So if you guys are interested in more case laws, I'll send it. Now you write the doctrine which is followed in US, which is called the modicum of creativity. Right, in this doctrine, importance is given importance is given to both the creative and subjective to both the creative and subjective contribution of the author. Now write down the case. 5 publications. I'm writing it. Feist Publications Incorporation versus Rural Telephone Service Company. Now write, in this case, The US Supreme Court totally negated sweat of brow. Just write SOB as abbreviation. The US Supreme Court totally negated SOB and held that in order to be original the work must not only be a product of independent creation, but must also exhibit a modicum of creativity. A modicum of creativity. Continue in the case. This doctrine stipulates that originality subsists in a work where sufficient amount of intellectual creativity and judgment is present. In the present case, the question was whether a telephone directory is copyrightable. Whether a telephone directory is copyrightable. whoever joins the class after half an hour is over, or exactly at when the half of the class is over, you will not be given attendance, so don't waste time. Come only if you want to listen to IPR, or don't. I will not give attendance. I get all the timings of when every person has joined. So whoever's joining right now, you're actually wasting your time. Okay. The court held, just 2-3 lines more, then we'll wind up. The court held that facts like names, addresses, phone numbers, etc. are not copyrightable. This we all know, this is obvious. Facts can never be copyrighted. It was further held that the defendant's directory, basically the Rural Telephone Service Company, the defendant's directory displayed lack of requisite standards, of copyright as it was just a data compilation without any creativity. So in US, since they require a very high degree of creativity, telephone directory was refused copyright protection. Had it been India, so probably if the manner of compilation was something original done by an author, we would have granted copyright protection, because it would have been an original compilation. Okay, that's it for today. Tomorrow we'll write and learn about the Indian standards of creativity. And then we'll start with the idea expression dichotomy, the fact that copyright subsists in ideas and not expression. That is a very interesting topic. So we'll begin that tomorrow. Thank you, class. I had a very nice time. Bye. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am.